Hello there, folks. Hope everybody is doing well. Yes, Peter, I did see the Doom 3 trailer. It didn't mean a ton to me. I still haven't seen Dune Part 2, largely because I wasn't nearly as blown away as seemingly every other online reviewer was with Dune Part 1. Like, it's fine. There wasn't a problem with it. I just didn't love it. So, yes, I saw the trailer kind of out of morbid curiosity, but that's about it. Ooh. All right. I made tea because I'm actually getting over a cold. But that is really hot, so that's going to have to wait. Well, to be clear, Nathan, today is not actually my birthday. This is just the stream that is going out the closest to my birthday. My birthday's this weekend. But I'm not going to do a live stream for that. So, we're going to count it as this. So, if my mood is mildly subdued, I apologize. I mentioned I'm getting over a cold. And also, I went and saw my accountant to figure out my taxes today, which didn't go great. And like worse for the fact that I really thought I was going to be on top of it this year. So without bogging down the entire stream with it, basically I had money set aside, and I had money set aside that I thought would cover my tax bill based on what it has been in previous years. Unfortunately, because of some shifts in some of the way some of my stuff gets classified and how I have to file it, my actual tax bill ended up being about double what I had set aside. And as uncomfortable as that makes me, I am asking for assistance if people are willing to do so. I'm actually asking if you find yourself inclined to leave a super chat, please don't. I pinned my PayPal link in a pinned comment, and if you have any desire to contribute anything, whether towards that or just the idea for my birthday, I would much rather you do it there, because if you do it as a super chat, A, YouTube takes a cut, and B, I actually won't have access to it until well after the tax payment is due, because I don't get, if you didn't know, I don't get immediate access to super chat money. It just goes in the pile until the next payout, which isn't until the 21st of next month, and taxes are due the 15th. So yeah, try not to bog down about this, but I am mildly panicking. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways. I am wearing green. Like, unfortunately, I really need to get someday. Like, I can't think about spending money on anything right now, but someday, apologies, like I said, getting over a cold and got a little bit of a runny nose. Someday I need to get a better lighting setup in here, because like this right now on screen is reading as closer to black. This is a green dress. You can't really tell. Go freaking figure. Hope you're having a good St. Patrick's Day, at least. I mean, I'm not really having a great day, regardless of the perspective I take on it. just because of the reality of the tax bill. So I don't really do anything special for St. Patrick's anyway. I'm not Irish enough to to feel entitled to it, and like a lot of the stuff Americans do around it, just it's always felt a little weird, but it's felt weirder the older I've gotten. Ooh, that's good. That's good. That is Huntress loose leaf tea from a company called Artemis. My boyfriend gave me that tea, actually. It's really good. Personally, I wasn't blown away by Dune Part 1 either because I thought it was too complicated, exposition heavy, but I love Part 2 because I thought it flowed much better than the first part. I mean, like, again, I don't have a core complaint for it other than just, yeah, that's about what I figured it would be when I read the book. I guess I think there's a lot of people who just get wowed on the premise of, I can't believe it translated so well from the book. And I'm not going to say I'm immune to that, but like at the point we are with the kind of technology that we have and the shooting techniques we have, I knew it was possible at this point. Like the fact that they tried to do it in the 80s was a little bit more bonkers and the results weren't great. But I knew it was possible and it looked about like I expected. And so I came away from the first Dune movie going, okay, yeah, that's about what I figured it'd be. Like maybe if I was a bigger fan of the book, not that I dislike the book is good too, but like I'm not a big enough fan of the book that the idea of seeing it on the screen in and of itself carries a lot of weight for me. I don't know. As someone who is part Irish, I don't really care about St. Patrick's Day. As is your right. I can comfortably say being Irish, it's not been a real Irish holiday for years. However, you wish to read that. I'll take your word for it. Hey, Bobby Partridge Quill, thank you for the birthday wishes. I appreciate that very, very much. Feels like St. Patrick's Day is similar to Cinco de Mayo in the U.S. It's an excuse to get wasted. Yeah, it just changes what you get drunk on. Cinco de Mayo, it's Coronas and tequila, and St. Patrick's, it's whiskey and Guinness. And I know I frequently have a drink while on stream, but like I'm not a drinker. I'm not. I think I have maximum like 2 drinks a week. And when I say drinks, I don't mean 2 nights where I drink. I mean 2 drinks per week at most. It's usually only 1, and sometimes it's not even that. Oh. Did I give a crap about the Timothée Chalamet controversy? Not really. Like, here's the thing. I get what he was trying to say, but he was just kind of a big idiot about how he said it. So, like, if for people who don't know, Timothée Chalamet during what even was the event? I don't know. For some reason, he was talking with Matthew McConaughey. I don't know why. And there were cameras there. And he said something, I forget what the lead up was, but he said something to the effect of, not wanting movies to become less important because he's like, I don't want to work in a medium that isn't viable anymore and nobody cares about, but we prop up anyway. I don't want it to be like ballet or opera where nobody cares, but certain people pour money into it to keep it alive. Now, the thing is, I get what he was trying to say, but he really shot himself in the foot the instant he named literally any art form. It's not just that he said ballet or just that he said opera. Literally naming any art form in specific was going to get him torn apart by the lovers of that art form. That was the stupid part of what he said, not the sentiment. The sentiment, honestly, I'm not sure if I agree, but I get what he was saying. It was the specifics where he was a big idiot. I would say it's an excuse to get wasted here. If it wasn't, if that wasn't every holiday, if we celebrated Arbor Day, it'd be a piss up. Just going down the streets, cheering to every tree. Ah! Green beer. Ugh. You look. I won't drink beer. Period. You're definitely not going to get me to do it by dyeing it green. How am I today? Not great, Adrian. I kind of talked about it earlier in the stream. I'll probably reiterate it at some point just because I know people will come and go as the stream goes on. So I'll probably touch on it again. But I got my tax bill and I'm not currently in a position to cover it. Anybody willing to help, there is a link in a pinned comment for my PayPal. That is more helpful in this case than super chats, because super chats won't get paid out until after the tax bill's due. So anyways, as a mom who didn't drink much anyways, I might have a drink a couple of times a month after bedtime on a weekend. I will usually I'll have one drink when I'm recording with Jesse, and on weeks that I stream, I will have one drink on here, and that is legit usually all I drink. I went to a concert performance of Tristan and Isolde last week. It was stunning. Yeah, and it has been, I would say the best thing that came out of the Timothée Chalamet nonsense was, people just bigging up their favorite ballet performers or people bigging up their own, art. That was kind of great. For me, I thought he still had a chance at winning an Oscar. It was just going to be I'll forgive you, but I'm keeping my eyes on you like a hawk sort of situation. I'd have to double check when the voting opened and closed for the Academy members, because I don't know if that impacted it as much as people think. I don't know how far into the voting period we were when he said that. I'd have to check, but I don't care enough. Here's, oh yeah, congrats to Michael B. Jordan for sure. Well deserved. Here was my main frustration with the Oscars. So I will say right now, I have not seen One Battle After Another. I actually was in no rush to see One Battle After Another. My overall feelings on Paul Thomas Anderson are not dissimilar to my feelings on Quentin Tarantino, which is I haven't seen all of his movies. I have not regretted ever watching any of his movies, but I have also never felt the need to watch any of his movies more than once when I've seen them. That's kind of how I feel about both of them. So that having been said, and not having seen the movie, I do not care for the man's attitude overall. I think there was something deeply infuriating that after having won for Best Picture, that when he was back, in the sort of the reception area where you get questions from the press, somebody asked him about how he felt the political implications and themes of his movie mapped onto stuff that was going on right now and what he felt was most relevant. I forget what the exact question was, but it was something to that effect. And his answer was, aren't we supposed to be partying? Aren't we supposed to be partying? Look, dude, if you are not comfortable or are not willing to engage with the political relevance of your overtly political movie, don't make an overtly political movie. I feel comfortable having an opinion on, even though I haven't seen it. And maybe it's good. I've heard some people say it's good. I've heard some people say it's mixed. I've heard some people say it's fucked. But I haven't seen it. I assume there's like modern ballet. It's not like stuff written in the 19th century. Well, depends on how you classify it. 255. Like, yes, ballets are still being written. Much of like high level professional ballet is still using older compositions, but like you need to understand ballet. What makes it the ballet like is yes the music, but it's the dance. So most modern ballet is not about having new music to do ballet to, although that does get made. A lot of modern ballet is wildly reinterpreting the music that already exists. You know, whole new takes on how to do Swan Lake or the Nutcracker or any number of other things. That is where ballet is at its most vibrant, at least from my view as an outsider who has seen some ballet performances but is not deep into it. A lot of the and like has known a few professional dancers, a lot of the real passion within the ballet world is bringing new techniques, new perspectives, and new ways of dancing the story of existing pieces of music. Again, don't take that as a definitive answer to anything. That is from somebody who barely has any clue what they're talking about. Do you know about the 2 classic Doctor Who episodes discovered? Yes, I do know about that. I don't really have thoughts on that. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, are you going to say anything about that? Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, somebody actually asked me, like, you going to make a video about it? I'm like, what? What would the video be? Like, because unless I do a Kermit the Frog, yay, for 10 minutes, I don't know how the hell I'd feel a full video on that. Like, they were found. Yay. If you want an in-depth analysis onto the full relevance and the meaning and the greater implications of having found it and how it was found and where it was found, Josh Snares exists. Like, that's their entire wheelhouse. You don't need me for that. All I know about ballet is classical music, and ballerinas apparently smoke like chimneys. Some of them do. Yeah, there is. I don't want to get into it because, like, I know people who've been professional dancers, including ballerinas, so I don't feel completely detached from this, but I will say that there are elements within the world of ballet where there is such an emphasis on a very specific body type that unhealthy things are done to maintain and achieve that body type, including smoking. I could watch and review them. I'm not going to watch 2 individual episodes of a 12, it's a 12, right? 12 episode multi-parter. John, like, that's not how I tackle classic stories anyways. Besides which, they're not public yet. Have you seen The Traitors with Alan Cumming? Nope. My boyfriend watches that one. I never really got into. I'm not into reality shows, just as a general rule. Smoking is a great way to not eat. Yeah, context exactly. I Swear is coming to the U.S. cinemas at the end of April, the same date as the MJ biopic. I worried both that and what went down at the BAFTAs is going to kill it at the box office. I hate to be the one to break this to you, Rowan. It was going to bomb at the box office regardless. Like, theatrically released documentaries are not much of a thing in the U.S. It was never going to make a big splash with a theatrical release. I'm actually shocked that they are even bothering to put it in theaters over here. They're probably going to lose money doing it, and it will have nothing to do with either of the things you listed. 12 episodes, 7 are missing. Okay, I was right. Hey, I got an episode count right. I frequently get them wrong when it comes to Classic Who. Recently, Kraft and an AI first company that illegally fired the CEO of the indie company to avoid paying them has been ordered to bring back the CEO by a judge. Oh, yeah. That's the Subnautica thing. Yeah, I know a little about that. I haven't been following it particularly closely. That was asked earlier, Adrian. I did see the Dune trailer. It's fine. I still haven't seen the second one. So, it's fine. I swear it isn't a documentary. It's a biodrama. It still wouldn't do very well because it's a biodrama of somebody Americans have never heard of. And not to... The only way a movie like that would get a decent theatrical push is if they had released it in time to be an awards contender. Because, pretty much the only way... Not the only way, but the best way that biographical pictures about people who Americans have never heard of before, the best way to get them to do well at the box office 9 times out of 10 is to position them as award bait. Which if they're releasing in April, they can't do. So... Bugs me a little bit that often old plays, operas, and apparently ballets only get performed when they're being reinterpreted in some ways, because I think you should be able to go see a standard version. I mean, classically done versions also still exist. But, I don't think I agree. Theater is a living thing. That's its nature. Any version of any theatrical production, whether it's ballet, opera, Shakespeare, or Sondheim, no matter what it is ephemeral. That version exists for the length of time that show runs. That's the nature of the medium. The idea of you hoping for an eternal standard version is not compatible with the living art that is theatrical production. That's not what theater is for. If you want an eternal version of something, that's what film is for. That's what prose is for. That's what video is for. That's not what theater's for. I kind of understand wanting to have that, but that's not the medium. Forgotten Wolf, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it immensely, and that is incredibly generous. And I don't want to diminish how generous that is, because it is wonderful. I am going to note, though, anyone wanting to donate, be it towards my birthday or towards the tax bill that I just got, best to do so. The PayPal link that I have pinned in a comment at the top of the chat, because I will actually have access to that in the time that I need to pay that bill. That having been said, again, I greatly appreciate that, and that is very generous. Thank you very much. Not only have I seen The Good Place Awesome Gamer, I've done at least one video on it. It's an older video, but I've done it. It's honestly kind of hard to review something incomplete, in all honesty, especially when you only have so much to work with and have to do so much guesswork. I'm not deep into the missing episodes community, I guess, aspect of Doctor Who fandom. So I don't know how much we have of what I know that there aren't telesnaps for all of the missing episodes. I think they have audio on all of them, though I could be wrong about that as well. I don't know what currently exists of that story other than the 5 episodes that have been found. The Good Place had a great ending. The Good Place is definitely up there in terms of shows that ended on purpose. Have you seen the video of Godwa talking about the end of his time in Doctor Who at a convention? He did not look happy. I know that video exists. No, I haven't watched it. I feel like both he and the fan base as a whole would do well to get some distance from each other. I think he will benefit from some distance from his time working on the show, and I think the fans would benefit from some distance from paying attention to what he's doing. I think everybody would benefit from that. If it were possible, how would you feel about recording plays and then playing them back in something like a holodeck? I don't know. I'm not a person to ask impossible hypotheticals to 255. Like, I feel like you should know that by now. I don't know, man. My brain won't let me answer a question like that, because if I try and even think of it, my brain goes, holodecks aren't real. Why are you trying to make me think of this? Every missing episode of Classic Who have their audio intact. Okay. I thought so, but I was second guessing myself. Speaking of lost media, they made a graphic novel adaptation of London After Midnight, the lost Lon Chaney film. Oh! That's interesting. Interesting way to try and do that. Doctor Who's lucky in that regard. There's other stuff that's completely missing. No audio, no nothing. Yeah. I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff that just does not exist in any archive form. Doctor Who, like, for as much as we go on about, you know, the missing episodes and how much is missing, the fact that we know what everything was and we know what the stories were and we have the audios, that's a lot better than a lot of stuff from that same time period. My wife keeps trying to ask me hypotheticals and still does not get. I cannot answer. Yeah, I'm not going to say it's 100% of the time, like, I can never, ever, ever answer hypotheticals, but, like, you put me on the spot, and 9 times out of 10, I'm going to go, I don't know, man. My brain won't let me process that properly because it's telling me, yeah, that's not a thing, though. Well, we probably won't have all the episodes of Doctor Who. It's highly likely at least one episode is forever destroyed, but every little bit helps. Every find is good. Well, from what I understand, Awesome Gamer, part of what's interesting about this one is the tracing it back to what this copy actually was actually a whole new avenue for why there might still be copies in private collections. Because, like, there was a suspicion that we were never going to find any more missing Doctor Who episodes because up until recently, it was believed the only places where they could have been was in, like, the vaults or the archives of TV stations who were sent them for broadcast and still had them for some reason. Because that's how most, if not all, of the previously found missing episodes were recovered. But And like, it's I can't describe the full process to you, but short version is that what was realized with these new episodes that were found was that there was a process that was done that to create copies to send out for distribution that has the possibility, not the guarantee, but the possibility of ending up with a single additional superfluous film copy of the episode that was probably intended to be destroyed or disposed of, but might have ended up in private collections, which appears to be what happened here. So, again, Josh Snares has done multiple videos on these new ones. It breaks it down a lot better than I do. A lot of it's very technical to understand exactly why these episodes are different from other ones, but like it has opened up a whole new avenue for why there might be more of these out there. So if you are very deep into finding the missing episodes, it's very exciting because it had kind of been previously thought we probably will never find anymore because all of the existing avenues had kind of been exhausted. And now there's a whole new avenue. What would you do if you had a family member who was constantly asking you hypotheticals? You realize that's a hypothetical, right? You realize that, right? Watch the optional special edition version of Warriors of the Deep on the latest Blu-ray set. The Mirko really does look good finally. See, I still don't really... I don't like them updating the... All right. Here's the thing that I'll say. I appreciate that when those get released, at least so far as I'm aware, that when those things have been done for like the Doctor Who Blu-ray sets, it is an option to watch it with updated effects, and it is an option to watch it as originally aired. That's fine. I still personally don't like it even as an exercise, but as long as the original version is still available, I'll let it go. But I'll tell you why, just artistically, I don't super like the idea of updating effects at all, because any piece of art, any given piece of art, be it film, be it a painting, be it anything else, is a time capsule of when it was made and of the circumstances under which it was made. The limitations, the faults, the flaws, they are part of the art too. And while you can argue like, yeah, but they would have done it better if they could have, I understand that, but this is what we got. And it has value as is, even if it's a piece of bad art. So I just, there's a homogeneity that occurs with updating of effects because it pretends like all of it was always good and always looked good. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. Some of it looked like garbage. And that's fine. I not, again, it would be an overstatement for me to say that these kind of updates erase that, because so long as they still make the original version available, that's not strictly true. But just philosophically, I am opposed to the idea. Now, like restoring something that's like a beat up, busted up print, you can barely make out what's going on. Okay, that's different because we don't even have a proper representation of what it was originally. And if that involves a little bit of tweaking just to get it into a workable state at all, I can be forgiving of that. But if we have a workable print that is completely intact and viewable, I don't like updated effect stuff. I just don't. Like, I think I was at just the right age for the Star Wars special editions and George Lucas starting to mess with those to hit me in the worst way. And I really have only solidified my opinion on that since then. Earlier today, I realized we're now almost as far in time from the first episode of Doctor Who as it was from the end of the 19th century. Time marches on. Dame, thank you very much for the membership upgrade. I appreciate that very much. I hope that you enjoy the perks. If I remember my tiers correctly, your name will now appear earlier in... What? Well, no. If that's the top tier, your name will now appear earlier and in larger font on the end credits, or it will appear for the first time, because I forget what my own tiers of membership are, because I am good at my job. Apparently. When you study ancient history, you get used to frustrating archival silences, even for the richest and most powerful people of Mycenae, Greece, or Egypt. Fair. All right. Um, has season 3 of Battlestar Galactica been any better than the previous two? Like Jesse said, it would be. For me, not really. I I'm trying to not be a complete downer, but the honest truth is that if we weren't committed to doing it for the podcast, and I was just watching on my own, I would have stopped watching the show. I'm trying to not be a misery guts on the podcast. I'm not always succeeding at that, but like I am at the overall conclusion that while there is good in Battlestar Galactica, I overall find it too frustrating to recommend. Anyways, I got to check the Discord real quick. I'm going to check those questions and I'll be right back. You know the scene in Battlestar Galactica? Of course, here we go. You know the scene in Battlestar Galactica where Dee leaves Apollo and she says any system that puts someone like Baltar in power or lets him escape justice is broken. Do you think the intention by the writers behind her words was progressive or authoritarian? I don't care. I can't say that I definitively speak for Jesse on this, but speaking for myself, I don't really care what the intent of the writers were. Because given the way the writers have been treating Dee as a character, they probably intend her words to be taken negatively as her, going too far, or refusing to hold to a truer form of justice or whatever. I side with Dee because I find her, regardless of framing and regardless of what the writers intend by her saying that, whether they intended or negative, I agreed with nearly everything she said in that line. So I don't really care what they intended. Remember back when I told you I was annoyed that Amazon has the rights to make the Culture TV show if it ever happens at this point? Could it be argued that it's actually one of the least bad options, like in the sense that Bezos isn't as committed to using all the media he owns to push right-wing ideas like the Ellisons or Musk are? Well, I mean, Musk doesn't own a major media company. I mean, unless you have bought into the Everything app nonsense. The simple truth is that none of the entertainment entities that would have the money that is required to make a show of proper scale adapting that work is a company you should want to tell that story. Is Amazon the worst? Probably not. Not right now. Paramount would be the worst. Is it the best out of bad options? Maybe. I don't know. Apple might be a slightly better option. But yeah, none of the corporations who have the resources to tell those stories are corporations who should be telling those stories. That's basically where we are right now. Remember said I was annoyed Morgan Freeman narrated Netflix The Dinosaurs given he's accused of harassing women. You think some creeps actually get off lucky in being accused at the height of Me Too movement in the sense that so many came out at once, individual instances kind of got lost in the noise? No, I think it's a wash. I don't think they were lucky because, like, prior to that, it just would have been brushed off completely as opposed to lost in the shuffle. It still would have been the same outcome just for slightly different reasons. So, no, not really. It's been a while since you made your video about the idea of the Time Lord victorious. That was a big media story involving the 10th Doctor. Were you right that the story was about the 10th Doctor going too far and messing with time? I don't know. The general reaction to the Time Lord victorious was muted enough that I never bothered to acquire the media myself, so I don't know. I never actually took it in. Happy birthday since we share one. Thank you. Birthday cake or birthday pie? Pie is not for birthdays. Pie is for breakfast. Cake is for birthdays. Did you see the line by Captain Jack that has started being called the face of Bo as official confirmation that he will literally become the face of Bo in future, or is it just a joke that isn't meant to be taken too seriously? I see it as interpreted both ways. I was wondering what your opinion is. What's the joke? Like, I don't mean like whether it's a joke to the audience, but like in universe, what's the joke? yeah, I don't think it's a joke. I think it is what it appears to be. Do you think it's true that creators can sometimes overreact to criticism in such a way that they go too far to correct the issue and make it worse? Such as when people used to say Disney has a problem with their villains were too shallow and they ended up leaning hard into trauma leads to villainy trope, or when people complain about Barbara dying in Stranger Things, so the writers became over reluctant to kill off characters? Or do you reckon it's more often a case of writers misunderstanding what the audience criticism was about in the first place? I think you're giving too much power to one specific aspect of the creator-audience dynamic. I'm not going to say it has no impact, but I some creators do not respond well to criticism, either because they get spiky about it or they try to meet that criticism more than tell a story. That can happen, but if it does, it's not the only reason that kind of thing is happening. Like, I find it very hard to believe that the only reason Stranger Things became reluctant to kill its major characters was because of Barbara. I mean, they killed Bob the very next season. So I think it had more to do with just a classic issue of the creators just fell in love with their own characters and didn't want to get rid of them. Is there a darker Who episode than Waters of Mars, not counting Torchwood? Dot and Bubble, honestly. Do you think Sinners should have won Best Picture? I'm not in a position to say what should have won Best Picture. I only saw, I think, 2 of the movies that were nominated for Best Picture. I saw Sinners and I saw Frankenstein. Would I have liked Sinners to win? Yeah, sure. Do I think it should have won over everything else? I have no idea. I didn't see most of what else was on there. So no, I have no idea. And Surely I Lied to You should have won Best Song, as that entire scene was pure cinema. Here's the thing, Angus. What is meant to be the award is for Best Original Song, not Best Presentation of that original song. The award isn't for the scene the song was in. It's for the song itself. So, citing the scene as being pure cinema, which I don't dispute, that was an amazing scene, but that isn't a relevant argument for that category of the Oscars. Also, the Oscars don't matter, so don't sweat it. Muffins are breakfast cakes. Yeah, kind of. Well, it depends on whether or not you think frosting is essential to cake. Because muffins are kind of just unfrosted cupcakes. Extremis is pretty dark. It is, but the specific context removes the stakes of that darkness, if that makes sense. Movies were disappointing last year, just in general, in my humble opinion. I didn't really watch enough to have an overall thought on the year. Have you seen Begonia? Nope, I have not seen Begonia. I think, hold on. Let me pull up the nominee list. I think the only 2 Best Picture nominees I saw were Sinners and Frankenstein. But let me just double check. Yeah, I saw Frankenstein and I saw Sinners. That was it. I would like to see Begonia. I haven't. I don't care about F1. I'd like to see Hamnet, but I haven't. I don't care about Marty Supreme. I don't know enough about The Secret Agent to know if I care or not. I don't know enough about Sentimental Value to know if I care or not. I don't know enough about Train Dreams to know if I care or not. So, yeah, like, I I deeply do not care about the Oscars at this point. I just don't. Supreme Omega, thank you for the super chat. That is very much appreciated. On Hollywood, do you feel in some ways, despite its flaws, the golden age of Hollywood / the old studio system was better than our current IP-driven era? That's a loaded question. The way you worded it, the answer is yes, but it's because of the way you worded it. Because you asked me, do you feel in some ways was it better than our current IP-driven era? Yes, in some ways it was. In some ways it was also way worse. So I think ultimately I don't feel prepared to say which overall approach or era was better on the whole. But yes, there were things that were better about that era that are no longer the case. There are things that are better about this era that are no longer the case. Which is the better overall? I don't know, but that wasn't actually your question, so. I think Midnight is one of the darkest Doctor Who episodes because of how pessimistic it is about human nature. Yeah, arguably so. I would say the same is true of Dot and Bubble. My hottest take about Best Original Song is that I prefer what it sounds like to Golden, in all honesty. Oh, you and me both, John. You and me both. The hypothetical question about someone asking you a hypothetical question was an intentional joke, just to be clear. Cool. Fine either way. As a weirdo who likes fruitcake, eat what makes you happy unless it makes you sick. Oh, fruitcakes. I can't even think about fruitcakes without thinking about there is a song, I think is by the B-52s, that I just remember coming across the radio during the holidays 8 years ago or so. It's just the first thing comes into my mind whenever I think of or hear the word or read the word fruitcake. Because it's just, if you know the B-52s, it's exactly what you think it is. It's a fruitcake. A yummy fruitcake. God, it's so bad. Navy seems like a very nihilistic dude, to be honest, at least in his writing. I don't think so. I think he has a dark side to his creativity at times. I mean, that's where you get stuff like Dot and Bubble or Midnight or Children of Earth, but I don't think that's necessarily something I'd be prepared to spread out across his work as a whole. Really savage moment in the new Twin Dilemma documentary. Presenter says that because Kevin McNally's wife was in Battle of Ranskorev Kolos, Kevin is now not even in the worst Doctor Who story in his household. Oh, damn! I mean, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. I do think Battle of Ranskorev Kolos is worse. Here's the I've said this elsewhere. My general thing with the Battle of Ranskorev Kolos is I think it is almost without question the most inept and unworthy to be filmed from just a straight up, and I don't like using this phrase because it's become weirdly toxic in discourse, just badly written script in the history of Doctor Who. Now, I hesitate to call it the worst episode because I tend to define bad episodes by different measures than just bad execution. which is why I have historically said that The Idiot's Lantern is the worst episode. But in terms of just like quality of the script, just in terms of like looking at the script and going, oh God, we can't film this. This is not ready for camera. Nothing comes close to Battle of Ranskor Kolos. Other stuff may have failed. It may have had flawed ideas. But like Battle of Ranskor Kolos is just, it's just inept. And normally I would be hesitant to make those kinds of statements, except we know that Chibnall turned in a first draft. That's literally what he did. And I understand the circumstances that led to that happening. I can even be empathetic to them to a certain degree, but that doesn't change the fact that that script was in no way ready to be shot. Oh, good grief. Oh, man. Oh, like it's, I think the best way that I can just sum up the level of ineptitude is, does anyone remember the fact that I was about to say it's a plot point. It's actually not, but that there is a bunch of emphasis put on the fact that the planet that they are on messes with your head and you have to have like the special device that keeps you from losing your mind. Do you remember that was in that show? I bet you that there's a good chance you didn't. You know why? It never comes up. It is established and literally nothing is done with it. Nobody is ultimately affected by this thing. That's why I said it's not even a plot point. It's just a thing that exists but doesn't matter. And they sink time into explaining it. Oh. Whoo. Boy. I missed all of Whitaker's era, not on purpose, just didn't have access to it. I mean, like, it's on BBC iPlayer. If you have a VPN. Who said that? Who said that? I didn't say that. Who said that? Whitaker is good. Okay. I don't think Whitaker's bad. Whitaker is not the problem. Actually, none of the performances are the problem. The scripts are the problem. Chibnall's Torchwood finales weren't bad, though. They're not good. Oh, I did a video a year, 2 years, 3 years? I don't know. I did a video a couple years ago ranking every thing that Chibnall was the sole writer on that was Doctor Who related. So that included Torchwood. I don't think his finales are good. I don't think End of Days is good. I can't even remember what the season 2 finale is. I don't think that one's good. To be fair, the main reason the season 2 finale is bad is not his fault. I generally tend to single out writing when I think something is bad. But the biggest problem with that final episode of the second series of Torchwood is the actor who they cast as Grey. And I don't like to blame actors, but I'm sorry, the guy had no charisma whatsoever. And the only way that character was ever going to work is if you had somebody on screen who could sell it, and he couldn't even come close. So from a script perspective, that one's not too bad. Trying to watch the actual episode is painful. He did do good work on Torchwood. Adrift is the single best thing he's ever written in relation to Doctor Who, and that's a Torchwood episode. So, Exit Wounds, that's what it was. See, I don't like the character deaths Sam, for reasons that aren't necessarily that episode's fault, because like it just felt incredibly cheap to me that like the episode before was like this whole, in-depth backstory to a couple of characters who are about to die. It just made it feel like a waste. You did this effort to make me care about these characters and then immediately kill them. I hate that. I hate that nonsense. I find Gray an unendingly dull character, even beyond the performance, just meh to me. I mean, I don't like the concept of Gray, but if it was going to work, it needed a really charismatic actor in the role. If it was ever going to have a prayer, and it doesn't. I legit think if you proposed the iPlayer today, the BBC's higher-ups would balk at making it a free service. Well, tough titty. It's already out there. Erica, that is immensely generous, and I appreciate it very, very, very much. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I hope you are having a wonderful day. Why do you think Chibnall's writing worked with Joe Martin but not Whittaker? I feel like Joe Martin was given more opportunity for characterization than Whittaker was. Ultimately, the problem with how Chibnall wrote Whittaker is he frequently didn't. He wrote a bunch of exposition and history info and technobabble that Jodie Whittaker had to try and find ways to inject character into. Whereas when Joe Martin showed up, especially initially, Jodie Whittaker was doing the stuff she always had to do, which was to carry the exposition, which meant Joe Martin was free to get more into the meat of characterization. The reason, what sells Whittaker's Doctor short is that the writing did not give her nearly as many opportunities to bring a unique sense of character to that part because the writing of her in specific, not just in general, but her in specific, is so expositional so much of the time, and it is so hard to bring personality to strictly expositional dialogue. The one thing added to the Warriors Special Edition I'm iffy on is the montage of previous moments of humans wiping out the reptilia, including the war between the land and the sea. That is a very odd choice. And that's like... that just kind of feels gross. Like, I know they're fictional characters, but still. Ew. At my age, I prefer not to remember my birthday. Well, I'll be 44 this weekend. I don't mind that number. Like, 42 was an exciting number because I'm a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fan. But 44 is fine. I don't mind 44. Her morals were also very inconsistent. I would have, I'd have to rewatch her era with an eye on that in specific because, and the only reason I say that is off the top of my head, and going off of somewhat faded memories at this point, I am not certain whether I am prepared to say that her morals are inconsistent with other incarnations of the Doctor or inconsistent within her own era, because those are two different complaints. Either might be true. I'm not denying either one. I'm just saying I can't remember which is more the case right now. Just turned 56. Nothing wrong with 56 either. I'm turning 40 in a few weeks. Welcome to the club, Drew. I honestly, I love my 40s. I don't think I have ever been happier than since I got into my 40s. I am happier with myself. I am happier with my work. I am happier with my life. My 40s have been amazing. I deeply love being in my 40s. And I recognize that is partially privilege, particularly when it comes to the physical state of my body, because I have yet to develop the things that will become eventual, inevitable, chronic physical difficulties or pain points. Like, my back's a little bit twitchy insofar as I have to be careful how much I lift or whatnot. I'm sure my knees are going to start going before I hit 50, but none of that has happened yet. And I have plenty of friends who that stuff started to happen before they even hit their 40s. So I do want to acknowledge that, like, from a state of my physical body, I am a privileged person. But yeah, I really adore my 40s. And it's not showing up too much here just because of the lighting. Like I said earlier on, I really need to get a better lighting setup, but there we go. There's the grays. There's the gray hair. I love that. I love my gray hair so much. And it's funny because our society instills such a fear of aging. And I know part of this is, being trans, because, at this point I get to age as myself. So what is there to be afraid of? But, also with everything going on, at this point, I consider every gray hair to be a middle finger to people who would rather I wasn't still around. So, I love my 40s. And it's nice to have you lovely folks here with me for this ride. So you age classy like Helen Mirren. I am not going to look that good that long. I doubt. But I still must look pretty good because there are people willing to pay money to see more of me. So, and that is overt as I will get about that side of what I do. Thank you very much for joining me, folks. I appreciate it immensely. I'm probably, over the next week or so, going to, in whatever ways I feel comfortable with, continue to point people to my PayPal or my Venmo or my Cash App for whatever help I can get towards my tax bill. I haven't said hard numbers yet, and I feel weird about that. I think it comes across like I'm hiding something. I was prepared for a $4,000 tax bill that, at a stretch, I could probably squeeze a $5,000. And I got hit with an $8,000 tax bill. And I don't, by my normal methods of income, I cannot cover an extra $3,000 between now and when it's due. So if anyone is willing or able to assist towards that, PayPal is the best way. PayPal or Venmo or Cash App is the best way to do that, because that money becomes available to me more or less instantly, whereas things like Super Chats or pledges to the Patreon take longer to pay out and may not be available to me at the time that I need them. So I feel like a needy, poorly managed garbage person bringing up and talking about any of this, but I literally did a video last year about how YouTubers need to get better at saying when they need help. So I got to try and live by my own words. And yes, Forgotten Wolf, if it comes down to it, I can get a payment plan. The thing is, my intention was, because I've gotten a payment plan the last 3 years. But the thing is, I'm stuck in a cycle on that, because the money that I would be setting aside to cover the next year's income tax bill instead is going to a payment plan to pay the last year's. And I had set aside enough money to cover what I thought the bill would be based off previous years. I had that money, and then it just ended up being bigger, like almost double. So, what was I gonna say? Sorry, my brain is the if I can't raise enough to pay it outright, I will be okay in that I can get a payment plan, but I'm trying very hard to not have to do that, because this I think this year was the best shot I was ever going to have at being able to pay my taxes outright. And if I can't, I think I'm going to be stuck in this cycle forever of having to get a payment plan every year, which is in and of itself is not a problem, but it becomes a problem the instant I get a new expense. The instant I have to replace my car. The instant I have to pay an unexpected medical bill. I am in a real bad position if I have this massive monthly payment that I can't ever fully get rid of, because by the time I've got it paid off, the next year's due, and I haven't been able to set new money aside. Like that is the financial reality of where I'm at right now. And I'm so frustrated because, like I said, I set aside as much as I thought I was going to need to be able to pay it outright and finally be out of that cycle. And the bill came and it blindsided me. Anyways. I'm sorry. I did not mean to end on a downer, and I really didn't mean to spend that much time at the very end going, woe is me financially. It makes me really uncomfortable to do that, but like I said, I'm trying to be better at being upfront with being financially in a bit of a bind right now. Anyways, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate and adore you all. Take care of yourselves. Be well, be safe, and be kind. And please remember that you are beautiful. You are valid, and you are loved. You are the council. I am just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. McCavity!